I got a question yesterday from someone I had worked with about 2 weeks ago, and although her pain in the right glute area, which was the kind of right piriformis, right glute area, that was causing horrendous spasms for her, was largely subsided. She said that she was feeling some discomfort in her mid-back on the right side. Now, she may have been doing an exercise slightly incorrectly. She may have been trying to. It's hot, it's summertime in New Jersey, it's humid, and my window's open, so you might hear trucks driving by, so you're gonna have to bear with that sound, and I'm not gonna restart, I'm just gonna talk through it. Anyway, she was feeling some discomfort in her right back, may have been attempting to expand the wrong side of her rib cage. I think she was trying to expand her right side, which is already expanded. Need to expand the left side of the posterior rib cage, right lateral chest wall needs to be opened up, so differences. But it does pose a question that some people do report that even though they know they're making progress because the primary complaint has started to feel better, sometimes they'll start to feel aches and pains in different places that weren't there previously. And there is actually a good reason for that. I have my own experiences with that, which I will relate to you. When your body has been compensating for something for a very long time, it means it has been stabilizing itself incorrectly. It's using the wrong muscles to stabilize the body. Now, in that sense, you're not really stable, you're rigid. If you're using the proper muscles to stabilize your body, you are stable. If you're using the wrong muscles to stabilize your body, for whatever reason, you are limited in how you react to to life, basically. And that limitation causes more compensation and pain and tension to be created. So for example, if you are using your hip flexors and lower back to stabilize the left side of your pelvis because you got stuck to the right, or you had an injury and your brain feels more comfortable standing on the right side because you have that bigger right diaphragm, if that has occurred for too long, that becomes your normal pattern of stabilization, but it's faulty. Biomechanically, it works, well, for a while. You get through life's events, but eventually those compensations build up and they start to break, you start to hurt because they can't go on forever. And what PRI is designed to do is take you out of that faulty stabilization pattern, that rigid stabilization pattern, because it's not really stable, it's rigid. It takes you out of that, it destabilizes you, and then you have to learn to restabilize appropriately. But if you've been living for years and years and years, let's say using your neck to stabilize your torso, or your neck to stabilize, period. A lot of things, your cranium, your neck is being overused for breathing. That's your habitual pattern. That's what your brain has accepted as normal. Now I come along and I make you feel something that you haven't felt before. Maybe it's underneath your feet. I make you feel pronation on that right foot. It destabilizes you. I just got muscles to shut off for the first time. Or you do a 90-90 with a left hamstring, or whatever it's going to be. This program has now destabilized you. It has taken you out of your normal compensatory stabilization process, which is making you rigid, because it's not truly stable. Stable is being able to react to anything. Think of a personality. If you have a stable personality, something happens to you, that's fine, I'll deal with it. Another person who has a rigid personality, they cannot deal with change at all. The body's the same way. Something occurs, your body goes with it. No problem, it's loose, it's flowing. A rigid body tightens up even more, can't deal with it. So we're taking you out of that rigid stabilization pattern that is working for the most part because you're alive and you're not breaking bones, but it's not optimal and it's causing pain. When you are trying to learn to restabilize with the appropriate musculature, so let's go back to that left pelvis, lower left back, left hip flexors, we're taking those out, at least we're attempting to take those out of the picture when you're on your left leg. We're trying to use your left hamstring, your left adductor, your left glute medius, anterior glute medius, and left internal obliques to stabilize your body on that left side so you do not have to resort to left lower back muscles, left QL, left lat, and left hip flexors, because that puts you in a position of extension that causes pain. It ungrounds you. You can look at it a lot of different ways, but no matter how you look at it, the compensatory mechanism that you are using to stabilize your body in one way or another, it could be up here, it could be down here, it doesn't matter, is causing the issue. The PRI program destabilizes you out of that position, out of that compensatory position, and teaches your body how to stabilize and move with effective, non-compensatory muscle action, muscle patterns. It's called left stance, appropriate left stance. But during that time period, remember, this is skill acquisition. It takes time for your brain to learn all this. And what happens if you try, it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep lifting heavy weights, I'm gonna run a marathon because I know I'm starting to feel better. Well, how long, it's not gonna take long for your body to say, this is way too intense, I can't stabilize for this long, and I'm just gonna throw you back into the pattern because that's the way I know how to do it. Remember, that pattern doesn't go away. We have to turn that pattern off as much as possible and replace it with an appropriate pattern. But the pattern's never going to go away, because actually that pattern is what you should be when you're on your right foot, but it's not what you should be when on your left foot. So during that process of relearning how to properly stabilize the left side of your body, or how not to use your neck to turn your torso, or how to learn not to use your neck to breathe, to pull your chest up to breathe, while you're learning how to expand your rib cage back, as you're learning how to expand your rib cage on the right, as you're learning how to get off your right foot, as you're learning how to get to your left foot, how to get into left AFIR. It's not yet perfect. It takes time for your brain to figure out how to do all this. Remember, it's skill acquisition. It's no different than learning to shoot a basketball, swing a bat, pitch, whatever. It takes time, repeated effort. But in that time period, your brain still has to be like, okay, I have to deal with external stressors, internal stressors. I'm not really sure how to do this. And it might start activating muscles somewhat inappropriately in a mad scramble to figure out how to do all this. So it's not uncommon to develop aches and pains in places that you didn't really have them before. But I would say don't get alarmed about it, because it's just part of the process. So I can say when I realized I was a superior T4, and a superior T4 is when the first rib on the right side, it generally happens on the right side. Superior T4 is when the first rib on the right side, actually probably the first two ribs, they kind of flip up and get stuck close to the collarbone. And it's because of breathing. Your subclavius muscle is trying to help, and your pec minor is trying to help, and your right SCM, and your, what are these? There's three of them, anterior, scalenes. Scalenes are trying to help pull up, and everything gets jammed in here. And that can throw off all your rib cage mechanics completely. When I realized I was superior T4, I released it. It's like, oh my God, I could sit cross-legged way easier. The tension in my body dropped. Why? Because now my rib cage could actually move. And I was like, this is great. However, I didn't stop lifting. I was lifting heavy. And very quickly, I developed elbow pain, intense elbow pain. Now, why? Because it was great that I got rid of that superior T4. I released everything over here, and my body felt very relaxed. But I didn't know, or my brain didn't yet know, how to stabilize my scapula, my right shoulder blade, on that rib cage. So I had a very loose right arm that couldn't stabilize properly, but here I am, dumbbell rowing 65, 70 pounds, because I was pretty strong at that time. And I started to develop pain, because I had new ranges of motion that I did not know how to stabilize. So that is an example of destabilizing in a good way, but then you have to then learn how to restabilize with the appropriate musculature, and that's what PRI programs are trying to do. I probably should not have been lifting that heavy at that point, but I didn't understand. It just didn't make sense to me at that point. I don't even know if I was thinking about that. All I knew was I felt better. I started working really, I kept lifting, I felt great, and then all of a sudden I got right elbow pain. So that's an example of how that process takes place. So the moral of the story is, yes, you may start to feel aches and pains that hadn't been there before, but you gotta stay the course, because as your brain starts to relearn how to really stabilize your body appropriately in a non-compensatory way, those aches and pains should start to go away and you'll feel better in the long run. If you found this video interesting or helpful, could you please like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, do anything you can to spread this information, because PRI is really changing people's lives, and I hope to share it with even more people. Thanks.